Good evening. Today you'll have one more opportunity to see for yourselves the truth of yesterday's announcement that you will no longer see the official program Vremya or anything like it. There will be a new news broadcast, work on which has already begun. No one can say how long this work will take, but a new show cannot be created in a single day. And it is hard to say what kind of program it will be. We hope it will be honest, objective, and diverse. But while this work is in progress, you will not be left without a source of information. There is a lot of news, so we have much to tell you. The main story comes from the Soviet Parliament, where the deputies gave their consent today to the arrest of Mr. Lukyanov. Our correspondent's report is rather comprehensive at the request of viewers who are unable to watch the live coverage. To jump ahead, I can say that the main question discussed at the morning and afternoon sessions was the report by Mr. Sobchak, who had returned with his delegation from negotiations in the Ukraine. I would like to note the main results of these negotiations. The results of these negotiations approved the fact that the former union no longer exists and there can be no return to it. These negotiations confirmed the mutual respect for the independence of the state sovereignty of each of the republics, faithfulness to the agreements between the republics which were negotiated last year, and also these negotiations emphasized the necessity for, in the transition period, to create fundamentally new structures on the union level in the form of inter-republican committees with the participation of the representatives of all republics which formerly were members of the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. We must immediately begin discussions on questions of economic interrelations, on military and strategic issues, etc. I believe that the main lesson of these negotiations is the correct recognition of the role of union organizations in these events. Mr. Trubin, the General Procurator of the USSR, took the microphone next. There is very serious proof of the fact that, along with the State Emergency Committee, Mr. Lukyanov took an active part in the preparation for the coup d'etat. The Committee on the State Emergency in the USSR, knowing that its actions were unconstitutional and illegal, Mr. Lukyanov gave his agreement to its creation and a promise to provide a legal basis for it and for a legal basis for the illegal seizure of power by the Vice President. Mr. Lukyanov promised the organizers of the coup, the members of the State Emergency Committee, to help them by having the Supreme Soviet adopt a resolution approving the introduction of a state of emergency. For the purpose of legitimizing the creation of the State of Emergency Committee, Mr. Lukyanov took action to prevent the signing of the Union Treaty. According to Article 64 of the Russian Federation Criminal Code, Mr. Lukyanov will be charged with treason. Who is in favor of this? The Supreme Soviet has given its approval and consent to holding Mr. Lukyanov criminally responsible for his actions. Then Mr. Trubin concluded his remarks in this way: taking responsibility for the irresponsible behavior of the USSR Procurator's Office during the days of the coup, and taking into account of the lack of confidence in me since then, I hereby resign. And to talk about all the rest of the things that happened, Mr. Nishanov presided over the discussion, which, according to some, turned into a mere exercise by the deputies. And referring to telegrams received from constituents, it was noted that the preparation of the agenda, the point on the agenda on the most urgent measures to be taken to restore the country to order after the coup has not even been taken up. The 6 articles of this document have been adopted, and the 7th article relates to the participation of the Communist Party organs in the preparation of the coup. The decision was made not to prevent the looting of Communist Party archives and personal persecution of rank-and-file members. I believe that those deputies which demanded the right to defend the rights of rank-and-file communists against anti-communist hysteria, these deputies were correct. And so the afternoon session began. Mikhail Gorbachev took part in the afternoon session and said that the deputies still must confirm his choices to the Security Council and new leaders of the Defense Ministry, the KGB, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the USSR, the Council of Ministers. The members of the Security Council will approved without much discussion. They are 9 leaders from the republics. As concerns other candidates, Sobchak, Revenka, Yakovlev, and others, the deputies demanded that this take place in constitutional manner with approval by the Council on the Federation. Bakatin and Primakov were already approved previously as members of this council. Mr. Bakatin, new head of the KGB, answered questions, as did Marshal Shapochnikov, the new defense minister. Barannikov, Shapochnikov, and Bakatin were approved in their new jobs by the Supreme Soviet. The 7th article of the decree, which discusses the responsibilities of the Communist Party, was taken up again in the afternoon session. Mr. Kravchuk proposed a compromise, and which was accepted by the deputies. Deputy Roy Medvedev said that not a single matter about the Communist Party will reach the Supreme Court. Then point number 10 about the new agenda for the Congress of People's Deputies, and the General Procurator's resignation was accepted, and also a resolution prohibiting persecution of people merely on the basis of their membership in a political party or organization. And perhaps this was the most important result today. In the first days after the coup, one of the most important conclusions was what should Gorbachev do? With whom should he proceed further? It is obvious that this conclusion has already been made because he has made his choices to the Supreme Council, the Security Council. The leaders of the Supreme Soviet and the Russian Parliament will have a chance to take part in the Congress of People's Deputies, which opens September 2nd. There is a great deal of doubt about the stability and firmness of the new agreement between Russia and Ukraine. Mr. Rudskoy, Vice President of Russia, and Ukrainian President Kravchuk attempted to dispel these doubts today. The center of the political life of the Ukraine is Kiev.